You're listening to Soundside. I'm Scott Greenstone in for Libby Dankman. A festival celebrating the city's only river is canceled this year. The organization hosting the Duwamish River Festival shut the August celebration down due to concerns about immigration and customs enforcement activity in South Park, the neighborhood where the festival usually takes place. Paulina Lopez is here for more on the cancellation. She's the director of the Duwamish River Community Coalition, which puts on the Duwamish River Festival. Thank you so much for being here, Paulina.
Thank you so much for having me, Scott.
So I understand this year's event was slated to feature kayaking and tacos, but tell us more about why you decided to cancel it.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it was a very hard decision. We had to make the call with the team. Just like we started to see everything that has been happening since the new administration, but also the horrible things just recently occurring in Los Angeles. And we just didn't want to continue putting our community at risk. We already are feeling a lot of impacts in our community, not wanting to be out of their own homes for this type of fear. So we didn't want to create unintended consequences.
Yeah. Remind us about the history of this festival, why it happens and when it started.
We started about 18 years ago, so this would have been our 19th year celebrating our Duwamish River Festival, which mostly bring community together to celebrate Seattle-only river, the Duwamish River, but also as a way of making sure our community enjoys a day in the water, learns about how to protect themselves, bring some of the health equity the campaigns that we're doing, and it's a great opportunity for them to get involved in understanding what is the current state of the river valley. So it's prior events we've had from 1,500 to 2,000 people attending. Many of them, they really come and in different languages. We have a lot of different cultural performances, really mirroring what the community is all about. We just broke our heart not being able to do it this year.
Yeah, I want to know a little bit more about that, but first I do, want to ask. South Park, where the festival happens again, has a large Latino population. I think last time I saw numbers from the city government, they said nearly half of the population of this neighborhood is Latino, and you live there. I'm wondering, have things felt different in the last few months?
Yeah, definitely. South Park has been a neighborhood of immigrants. Historically, many immigrants have been living there, refugee community too. So, it has a different vibrancy from any other neighborhood in Seattle. The languages, mainly speaking, of course, are mainly Spanish, but also we have a big Vietnamese, large population, Khmer, and now we're seeing an influx of Somali populations. And, we are there as a community organization to really prioritize what the community is all about. And it just didn't feel right to be celebrating also around a lot of sadness that has been happening in the community.
I read that part of the requirement for hosting the event is on the special permit that organizers have to go door to door and make contact with residents to let them know it's happening. And when that happened this year, there were many people who were too afraid to open their doors. What did that tell you? And did that sort of, factor into your decision making? What did that tell you about the considerations that people in the neighborhood are making?
Yeah, 100% correct. In order for us to make sure that we have the neighborhood buy-in, and also because we like talking to community, we take this opportunity to door knock. And we weren't able to get to a lot of neighbors. They, were just showing us on the windows some signs that not wanting to open. The children weren't opening the doors. It's just making it very hard right now for them to be interacting in the outside. When South Park had become like the neighborhood where a lot of also newly immigrants come, they don't know about all the rights that they have, but they do understand what's going on. So we didn't want to continue, overwhelming them with information since we noticed the ability to talk to people had changed, and it was very hard for us to see.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of community reaction to this news of the cancellation. I've seen some comments online saying, this is an overreaction, but most of them that I've seen on Facebook and Reddit say they're sad that the celebration won't be happening. I read one that says it feels like we're letting them take our joy and freedom. I'm sure this was a really hard decision to make. So tell us, what it feels like for you as an organizer and as a resident.
Yeah, I completely understand people saying what they need to say, but majority that think that way, they don't go through some of the things that our immigrant communities going. I know that we don't want to be led by fear. However, as an organization that has always prioritized community voice and community joy, we are not taking this lightly on how the attacks have been in the immigrant community. It just felt like the right way to be protecting them, to be thinking around with them what are the other things that we can be doing together. Also, there is a lot of misinformation that we want to work alongside with community to make it more meaningful, because we understand the intersections of environmental justice and immigration and human rights in general, but we wanted to make it more meaningful towards that anyways. However, the community had been starting to see more and more closer cases of family members very close to them that weren't okay. So we just decided for this time is not happening. And however, we still have a river that needs to be celebrated and need to be uplifted. We will just do it in a different way.
Yeah, tell me about that, the different way. You do still have some plans to mark the occasion. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So we thought, as a team, that we will be doing more by invitation only events. We won't be releasing, public information where they're gonna fit. We're gonna use our grassroots network to be more meaningful, specifically making it in more private places, because that was the fear. When we do the festival, is on public streets where anybody can come in. So we will be just bringing more the same, around information. It would just be multiple events, and we will try not to release the places where we are doing it, so we will feel safer.
Yeah. And I suppose, you talked about public streets just then. The fear there, if I'm understanding you correctly, is that ICE would actually show up or monitor those public streets. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah. Only not monitor, but they can just show up and nobody can, because they just can be doing whatever they want in public streets compared to in private homes. Then you have some rights that they need to obey. And also, we have had ICE raids before, and we know that it's real, and community members remember. So we don't want to create a space for that.
I guess I'm curious, finally, what you'll be doing on that day that you would normally be out celebrating in the streets. How are you sort of marking the occasion?
Actually, we will be doing some projects, just low-key commemorating the day with our board, with our closest volunteers and collaborators, as a way to still remember the river and uplift what needs to be done to protect the health and the well-being of our people in South Park.
Yeah, it's been called the river that made Seattle, but I know that its history obviously goes back way before Seattle was ever a city. We've been talking with Paulina Lopez, the director of the Duwamish River Community Coalition, which puts on the Duwamish River Festival. Paulina, thanks for the time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Soundside. This show is only possible because listeners support us. If you're able to give right now, please check out the show notes for a link to donate. And don't forget, you can listen live on KUOW 94.9 FM Seattle at noon and 8 p.m., Monday through Thursday, or anytime online at KUOW.org.